Hey guys, so we're at a local park of mine that we practice at quite a bit because it's nice and open. There's a lot of construction going on right now, but at the same time it's still nice and open, soccer fieldish type of place. So a couple of things I want to talk about today with regard to what we're practicing is coming when called. I have him on a 30-foot long line and his 6-foot slip lead, so he's got about 36 feet of leash. And with coming when called, he's doing really well inside of the house, and even with distractions like Huma and Nike around. So I'm bringing him out here to kind of get him more acclimated to the idea of bigger distractions. There's a Doberman over to my left that he's paying attention to. Then there's a couple of dogs on the very far side of the park that he's kind of seeing but hasn't paid too much attention to. So what I'm doing is just giving him the opportunity to wander around and not do anything. I'm not asking him to listen to a command. I'm not responding to him watching or observing the other dog. I'm just basically making sure that he stays within my vicinity that the 36 feet allows. So when you're practicing coming when called with him, there's a couple of rules that are a little bit different than the other commands that he's practicing. One, you always want to say his name first. You always want to get his attention, because the only time you really want to practice coming when called is when he's distracted by something. So if he's looking directly at you, you don't want to call him to you. You always want his name to mean to pay attention to you, check in with you, and then you want to say the COME word. Now, I'm a big proponent of just saying the one word only. Don't add here or on to the command. However, if you do, make sure you say consistent with it. I don't want it to sound different, because come here and come on all sound completely different. It doesn't matter about the words themselves, it's about the sounds. So you want to make sure that you're very clear about what exactly it is you want to do. Now, you also don't want to sound like you're questioning whether or not you want him to come to you. You want to make it kind of a statement, not a I'm not sure situation, because if he feels that you're unsure, he's going to be unsure. Now, I also want you to make sure that as soon as he starts making the effort, that you actually continuously sound excited or encouraging for him to continue coming to you. Coming when called is really the only command that it's not instantaneous when you are doing the command. It actually takes quite a bit of time, depending on how far the dog is from you, for them to actually complete the task. It could be 2 feet, it could be 20 feet, it could be 200 feet. So you need to make sure that you continuously encourage him to come into your personal space throughout the course of those several seconds that it takes him to run towards you. Now, once he's done and he's actually come within your 1-foot bubble, that's when the task is completed. That being said, you need to make sure to grab the flat collar, because I don't want a dog ever assuming that a human grabbing the flat collar means that there's something wrong. I want it to literally mean I'm touching your flat collar, and that is all. And then as soon as that happens, we use the release word break, and then I give him a treat for completion of the task, and then I let him go off and do it again. Also, with coming when called, you don't want to sound consistent. You don't want to do it consistently, repetitiously, kind of a situation. You want to make it random throughout the day, because we don't want him to kind of get used to the idea of, oh, you're going to call me because you've been doing it the last 5-7 times. I might as well stay within your bubble, so this way I don't have to make any sort of effort to come into your personal space. That's not what this is about. This is about checking in with me at distances where you may or may not be heavily distracted. So as you can see, he's about at the 36 feet that I allowed. So what I'm going to do is actually start calling him to me. Blue, come! That's my boy! Come on! Frank! Oh, come on, treat. Yeah, there you go. So he was excited. He came running towards me, which was really good. I want that encouragement for him to actually know that I'm never going to be mad at him for coming with me or coming to me. So I don't want it to be a situation, whether it took me 1 time or 20 times to call him, that he feels like I'm upset with him because he hasn't completed the personal space, so you never want to feel frustrated. So my rule of thumb is if I call a dog once and they don't listen, before I do it a second time, I close the physical gap between me and the dog. I don't go all the way to the dog because I need the dog to make some type of effort to come into my personal space, but it may be difficult at 30 feet, whereas it may be easier at 20. So I allow the dog the opportunity to continue trying, and if it doesn't work out within 3 different tries, usually I will reel them in like a fish. Blue, come! Go boy! Woohoo! Right. Good boy. Now with Blue, he's kind of still going through a very distinct fear phase, so he doesn't want to get too far away from me, which ultimately in the grand scheme of things is actually really good. I don't want him to wander off too much. That being said, he's not 100% great at actually checking in with me. Once he's distracted by something, he tends to kind of forget that I'm here. So what I'm also doing with coming or calling him back to me is reinforcing the idea that he needs to check in with me. Blue, come! Blue, come! Go boy, come on, that's my boy, go boy! Now, with him being a little insecure, I'm gonna get more down at his level to reinforce my need for him to come to me and encourage that attention and that reinforcement, so this way he feels more secure. If I was to stand up tall and kind of have my body as like a stop point, he would be less likely to want to come to me on a personal level, so I avoid any sort of body language that says, stop, don't come closer to me. I crouch down, I even back up a little bit, so this way they want to follow me. Blue, come! Come! Blue, come! Good boy! Good boy. Another dog off on the other side of the park that he's aware of. You can see a little insecure, that's fine. Blue, come! No. Blue, come! Yay! Break! Oh, yeah. You're all right, buddy. Blue, come! Come! Gotta reel him in like a fish, that's okay. Blue, come! That's a good boy! Break! A lot of distractions, but it's early on in his training. This is the first time he's really been out, exposed to something, and at a distance from his human. Normally you just have a 6-foot leash, not 30. So he's definitely got some insecurities. But the thing that I'll say is this. You don't want to reinforce the insecurities. You don't want to coddle him and make him feel like it's okay when it's really not. You don't want him thinking that you're encouraging that mindset. Blue, come! Blue! Come! Good boy, break! You don't want a treat? He doesn't want a treat, that's fine. Now here's another rule of thumb that I practice with dogs. He wants to run away. I want you to give him a physical treat reward for the next 90 days at the very least when you're doing coming when called. I want him to assume that for the rest of his life, he is going to get a reward every single time he comes. Because if he does bolt out that front door, he's not necessarily guaranteed that rabbit or that bird, but he's guaranteed a treat for coming back to his human. Then after 90 days, you can make it random as much as you want. But for the remainder of his life, you need to give him a physical reward for coming when called as you deem it appropriate, not every single time. but I want him to have the understanding that it's never going to not be an option until the day he dies. Always an option, always a possibility. He's just never guaranteed when it is going to be. Dogs love routine. Dogs love patterns. Dogs love being able to know exactly when to expect things, when things are going to happen, how they're going to happen, with who, all of that jazz. So you want to make this kind of a situation a little bit more unpredictable. So this way he doesn't have this expectation of when things are going to happen. Now what I'm going to do, since he's a little insecure, I'm going to practice a little bit of sitting. So this way we're doing something else besides coming when called. Just to get his little mind to calm down, because as you can see, he's definitely a little stressed about all of this, and that's okay. Like I said, this is his first time, so he has this little need to kind of be everywhere and doing everything and being aware of everything. Sit. So I just want to reinforce simple things during this time. Blue. So this way he always has that encouragement from me that he doesn't necessarily need to hyper-focus on everything. And through that stress and that hyper-focus on something else, we're still communicating with each other. Sit. So this way he and I are responding and getting to know each other better and communicating better. Good boy. Hey. Let's go. Good. Sit. There's a tripod over there. If I can focus. Good boy. Good boy. Now that little huffing or chuffing, whatever you want to call it, I just kind of reinforce the idea of just kind of stopping his brain, getting him to relax slightly. Nothing serious. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Sit. Now what I'm also not doing is having him avoid watching. I want him to see the dogs. I want him to observe the world around him. I want him to react to it. I don't want him to overreact to it. Good boy. It's definitely one of those situations is the more exposure he gets, the more information he gets that communicates what we're doing, and how calm I am compared to how calm he may or may not be is definitely very helpful. But let me know if you have any questions. I'll send more videos. Thanks.